the chair recognizes another distinguished member from Ohio, Mr. Davidson. You're recognized. Mr. Davidson's the chair of our National Security Subcommittee.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks to our witnesses. What a great panel. Really have enjoyed the discussion. And, when I go back, frankly, Mr. Brooks, Mr. O'Leary, Mr. Moore, you guys in particular, as we were watching this inflation crisis unfold, we called it. This isn't results of some phantom cause. Like, how could we possibly know what would cause inflation? We could see this train wreck coming because we saw massive spending, cash pouring into our economy. And as the fiscal spending was going, Congress just kept cutting bigger and bigger checks. Meanwhile, you had executive authority around the country, frankly around the world, artificially limiting supply. They were closing our entire economy. So how did you not have too many dollars chasing too few goods? Under the Biden administration, they came up with creative names like the Inflation Reduction Act, to spend this money. I mean, when Lee Zeldin took over at the EPA, he cited the Biden administration's own words that they were pushing gold bars off the Titanic, shoving this cash out into the economy to do nothing productive. And we look at auto industry companies writing off tens of billions of dollars in losses because there was no consumer demand for this. And this is what happens with central planning. And in essence, the central planning that we've sort of all embraced is the Federal Reserve. They arbitrarily set interest rates, and when they arbitrarily set them too low, as was definitely happening during this period of time, they cover for it by growing their balance sheet. In fact, they grew their balance sheet to over $9 trillion. So should the Federal Reserve continue to do this? Mr. Moore, you've highlighted this. Are the results predictable, or is it just, how could we explain this? And Mr. Brooks, as you've highlighted, a house is maybe the most common asset people have. So once you've inflated something, of course, housing prices are inflated, but so are other asset prices. Mr. Moore, could you talk about these implications?
Well, you did a nice summary, Congressman, of what's happened over the last 5 years. And, we spent $4 to $5 trillion after COVID. And by the way, it was mostly, the Build Back Better bill, the Inflation Control Act, the quote infrastructure bill. And look, you said it very well. Inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. It's not complicated, right? It's too many dollars chasing too few goods. What did we do? Where did the money come from to fund it? And by the way, Trump on his way out in his first term passed $1 trillion spending bill we didn't need. And so it was all printed. We printed the money. And so, by the way, there were 30 economists in the New York Times, including Nobel Prize winners, said, don't worry, all this spending won't cause inflation. I mean, those economists probably should send their PhDs back and say, we don't know what we're talking about. So we had the highest inflation in 30 years. And the point I was trying to make to the committee is we're paying a high price for that even today. It's the reason, Mr. Chairman, people are angry, because prices of steak and brown beef and eggs and everything that they buy is more expensive. And it takes a long time to drain that out of the system.
Thank you.
And so hopefully we learned the lesson that there's no such thing as a free lunch, that these expenditures came at a cost of everybody paying higher prices and much lower growth. And the good news is, we're now at a 4 to 5% growth path within 1 year of this new administration. That's a pretty remarkable achievement.
Sort of like Narcan for a fatal overdose of government that was administered. We're trying to revive it with the big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut Act, and many pro-growth policies. And when I think about pro-growth policies, one of the big ones, Mr. O'Leary, you highlighted, as a guy who grew manufacturing companies between the Army and coming to Congress, capital is really the lifeblood. And when you look at being able to get access to that, one of the challenges has been still the Federal Reserve. They're paying banks not to deploy capital. Interest on reserves is one thing. They're paying interest on excess reserves. So the banks are hiding their cash at the Fed, not putting it at risk in the market. We know the banks aren't meeting the market demand because you have a massive growth of non-bank lenders. Again, Mr. Moore, could you highlight kind of the challenge on interest on excess reserves? I think you've cited that that's costing like $200 billion a year that could be in our economy.
Yeah, what I like to solve this problem is always innovation and competition. I mean, it's to me, if you just let the American economy do its thing as it's done for 200 years, it remains number one on earth through all kinds of change, but it's all about innovation competition. So anything in the banking system particularly that stifles innovation competition is bad, and we have some of that happening.
Gentleman's time.
Unfortunately, my
expired.
time's expired, and I'll send a few questions for the record. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman.